I'm very thrilled to actually speak with you about this topic, about what entrepreneurs can really learn about marketing strategy. And it's also a great pride and honor for me to be sharing the same segment with my very good friend Jan Giselle Ang. So I hope you guys are all safe. I hope you guys are all with your families and enjoying despite the pandemic, the continuing struggles of the pandemic. But today, where I want to really focus on is how can we really learn about marketing strategy in general? There's a lot of like uncertainties, there's a lot of unknowns happening in the present. But what I would like everybody to have is the courage to move forward and the courage to at least continue our fight versus, this unseen virus, etc. And of course, to still be very excited about what the future holds and what the future awaits. So here, I'd like to focus my presentation about mass marketing. Essentially, the struggles of an entrepreneur and the struggles of a marketer is actually just the same. We are all trying to figure out what we can do. But I think here, if there's one thing in common is, we're really following safety protocols. So I have 5 tips for everybody to actually follow. And this is in line with, of course, the safety protocols about, how to avoid getting a virus or how to avoid being infected by the virus. So first tip for everybody is, of course, tip number one is keep a social distance with your consumers. Right now, it's very important that we know the drivers and the barriers in terms of why they're actually selecting a product or why they're actually trying a product and also why they're actually not using and even trying a product. Here, what's important is that we keep a right distance for us to know what they're going through. But at the same time, it's also for us to be always abreast with the daily struggles of a consumer, what potential needs that they may have in this changing environment. So the tip number one, keep a social distance. And when we're doing a lot of things, it's very important to be in the know, trying to gossip and trying to also look out for opportunities and even threats in our businesses. Second, where I'd like to touch on also is, of course, we're all wearing masks. But in this very age or in this very, I would say, situation, it's very important for us to unmask the truth. As you know, when people are wearing masks, you don't know what they're talking behind the mask, or you don't know what the full expressions are. So, as entrepreneurs and as marketers, it's very important for us to unmask the truth because they may say, or consumers may say that they're okay, they're fine with your product, but it's not. It's only scratching the surface. It's very important for us to really learn how to dissect the second, the third, and even the fourth layer of a consumer pain point or even of a consumer opportunity. And in all honesty, and what's really happening is when we unmask that, the truth is always, it's rarely poor. And I really like this, poster in here. And it gives us a lot of courage to move forward with the right proposition, with the right communication, and with the right innovation, even. Moving on to the next step of our safety protocols under this mass marketing is, of course, strive for perfection and product efficacy. So the very first one is getting closer to your consumer. Second is understanding the truth or the consumer truth. But the most important thing is how do we turn that consumer insight into creating a product that is nearly perfect or even perfect to what the consumer needs. And the product efficacy here represents how effective that our creation towards their needs. At the same time, it's also product efficacy vis-a-vis the alternatives out there. It may be about competition, it may be about cheaper alternatives, it may be even about not having your product or your category at all. So just like vaccines, not everybody likes it, but once they understand the benefits of a vaccine or of a product, the chances of them repeating the usage and purchase will be even higher. Again, strive for perfection and always look at the product efficacy by understanding or from the consumer truth. Next one is, of course, once they have tried the product, I think what we always fail to recognize is that it's not a one-time thing. Yes, they've tried the product. We are probably so much in love with our creation, but it's important to have a follow through. So just like contact tracing, you know what they're going to be talking about your product if they actually tell their friends or even their family members about their product. What is really that selling line that they may be able to share from their own experience? And in this case, contact tracing also represents how we can leverage on the awareness and the trial platforms out there. So it's very important, especially that we're not seeing each other. The contact is very limited to probably digital or virtual. Contact tracing in the context of marketing or even entrepreneurship is even more heightened these days. Last tip for everybody would be just like the variants of COVID, and I really like this thing. Before we've only learned about COVID-19 as one variant, but there's alpha, there's beta, there's kappa, and there's even delta. I think the lesson here, which we can all relate to, is how do we prepare for the worst case scenario? And it's okay to be hopeful for us for our project to be successful, really. But the question is, what are the worst things that can happen, and what do we do about them when it actually happens? The other piece of that one, or the other leg to that one, is really understanding what's the next big thing. The next big thing here represents about our innovation plan. It also represents about our legs in terms of campaign. It also represents about our vision for the brand. For example, you launch something. So the question is, what other segments can we derive from that specific product? So here, what I want everybody to understand is that a very good plan, a very good marketing strategy also recognizes the fact and the need of, one contingency plan in assuming everything will be a failure and it's okay to fail at times. What's important is we know how to rise from those failures. And next thing is also how do we really innovate and how do we, take a step further and take it to the next level if it becomes successful. I think at the end of the day, what I want to leave you guys with is that just like the pandemic and just like, staying safe in these days, what entrepreneurs can really learn from, marketers or marketing strategies is that we always strive to find the very best solution for the consumers. And it always starts from understanding the consumer truth, which represents the real consumer insight. It's also imperative for any business-minded person to always speak sooner than later to their consumers for us to understand what problems or solutions can we really address or can we really offer in terms of solutions, right? And lastly, staying safe means not necessarily being risk averse, but it's understanding the two sides of the coin, which includes one, preparing for the worst case scenario, and at the same time, if everything goes well, are you prepared to take it really to the next level? So I hope that this simple sharing of my safety protocols called mass marketing helps you guys in terms of understanding what can we really learn from each other.